stamping friends. It's Sherry Parker coming to you live on Tuesday, July 15th. Thank you for joining me. If you're joining me live, it's a night earlier than my usual Wednesday, but I am getting ready to go out of town and my daughter's visiting from Texas. Tomorrow is just a lot going on. So I wanted to hop on here tonight just to show you a really cool, fun envelope to make out of designer series paper. And I also wanted to let you know that next week I will not be live. If I do come live, it'll just be a random thing when I'm in England or France. So I'm looking forward to a really great trip abroad. And I do, appreciate you joining me tonight. And thank you, especially because it's a night early. So I'm gonna turn my camera around and we'll get started. All right, we are halfway through July, and the Let's Eradicate Loneliness One Card at a Time campaign is going great. It's been so much fun seeing all of the really great participation, a lot of cards being sent to people. It can be anyone. In fact, it's only halfway through the month, so if you haven't started, it's not too late. And why not spread kindness and share the love? And that's what this is all about. I do have a Facebook group. It's certainly just for fun. No one is counting your cards or anything like that. This is all just to spread kindness. So would love for you to join us. And like I said, we have half the month to go. So tonight I'm going to show you something fun and quick, primarily because I'm trying to get ready to go out of town. But a few weeks ago, Stampin' Up! Had the Creativity Now event for demonstrators, and we made some really cool projects, and I've shown you this before. This is a really cool fun fold. But we also made coordinating envelopes out of designer series paper. So I thought I would show you tonight how to make these very fast, very quick, and really can make any project super fun, and how much fun to brighten someone's day with a really pretty pattern envelope. Just put a label on it and you're good to go. So I did want to show some different patterns of paper, and tonight I'm going to be using the Floral Impressions Designer Series paper. And just to show you, I'm going to show you a couple different things, how easy it is, and whether you're using just random paper or directional. So we'll do both ways. So we'll get started. So when you get a piece or a pack of designer series paper, the 12 by 12, there's so many possibilities. And for this envelope, you can get one envelope out of a 12 by 12 piece of designer series paper, okay? So just keep that in mind. So you will have plenty of scraps, but as we did, showed you last week, you can do a lot of other fun things with scraps. So we will draw for last week's projects later on. But the first thing you'll want to do is take your designer series paper here, and you're going to cut it to be 9 1/4 inches by 6 3/4. So you can see here I've got two different pieces that I've already cut down to 9 1/4 by 6 3/4. One is random and one is directional. And I'm going to show you both ways just to kind of give you an idea, because I don't want you to be surprised if you do this and you're like, oh, that wasn't how I was expecting the directional one to go. So we will first start with our non-directional. And the first thing you're going to want to do is to score on the long side. You're going to score it at 3 inches and then 7 1/4, okay? And then on the short sides, you're gonna score at 1/2 inch. So I'm scoring at 1/2 inch there, and we'll turn it around and score at 1/2 inch here. And you can use whatever scoring device you have. I love this scoring tool that I've had for years. It's really great. So on the reverse side, you might be able to see the score lines better. Okay, and while we're here, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for our directional piece. Now, with the directional piece, one thing to keep in mind, so like, here's some examples. So you have a direction. So like these are going up and down, just like this paper here. If you want the front of your envelope to be right side up, then you are going to turn it this way, okay? If you would rather have your little flaps be the right direction, then you'll turn it this way. So I know that's kind of conceptually weird, but Anyway, you'll have to kind of think about that when you are planning this. So I want mine to be directional on the front of it. So I'm going to score it at the 3-inch mark, and then again at 7 1/4. Okay. So what that means is the card, the front will be good, but then when you turn it over, see how it's upside down. So you have to make a choice, but easy enough. All right. Let me go ahead and do my 2 sides at 1/2 inch. And if you have a paper trimmer that you like to use to score, great. Or the scoring tool works great too. All right, so I went ahead and I scored both of these. I think sometimes it's easier just to turn it upside down because sometimes you can't see the score lines very well. But the next step here is you're gonna cut off all 4 corners, okay? So use your paper trimmers or whatever you have. And sometimes it's easier actually if you just kind of fold along the line so you can see them better. So we are simply cutting our 4 corners. So very easy to do. And you can see I'm not like super precise because this is not really like, precision. So we'll cut all 4 corners. This is our non-directional one. And there you go. So it should look like that when you're done, okay? So we can get our bin folder and kind of like fold these down and those score lines. And really there's only one other step before we assemble it. And then on all 4 of the flaps, what you're gonna wanna do is just angle in slightly, okay? Again, not precision based. And this really just helps so that you don't have any paper showing on the wrong side when you assemble it. It's just a real, very slight inward angle, okay? So this is gonna be our flap, and then this is gonna be the part of the envelope that folds up. So really to assemble it, all you do is I use the tear tape because I find that to be the easiest tape to work with or adhesive. You could glue it if you wanted, I suppose too. I'm not usually patient enough to do that, but on the bigger flap, you'll put your adhesive down, and all you'll do next is simply adhere that like that, and that is your envelope. So your card, it'll fit in there perfectly, just a regular card. And then what I like to do is I go ahead and I put a piece of the sticky strip here, and so when I am ready to go ahead and mail this, it's already, my adhesive is there. So you don't have to lick any envelopes. You would simply just tear that off and you'd be good to go. Put a mailing label on there, and what a happy piece of mail. I swear, I think that's such a cute idea. For the directional piece, I wanted to show you this as well because it is something else to think about. And a lot of our designer series papers have a direction, an up and a down. So it is something you're going to want to kind of think about if you do make an envelope, but it can really work well. So I'm going to do the same thing where I'm cutting the 4 corners. Okay, so just simply cut your 4 corners. And we'll do the same steps that we did on the first one. And you can see I'm not even being that precise with this right here. And then, so you've got all 4 corners cut, and then the next step is to just angle in them very slightly like that. And it's very, very slightly, okay? You don't wanna make some big angle that you have to line up. You're just really cutting off some excess so that when you do fold it up, you don't have any weird pieces showing. So just like we did on our last one, fold in our edges like this. And remember, because I wanted it to be the right direction on the front, on the back, you can see it's not, okay? Because it's directional. So it's, again, it's a choice. You can decide, and I'll show you some examples. Some others that I did, different directions. So we're gonna put our tear tape along those 2 flaps there, and we will simply adhere that, and they'll stick to these flaps there. Okay, and then we'll put our piece up here. as well. So I just think these are a really cute, fun way to dress up a card. And, you know, who doesn't want to receive a card? This is from the same pack of paper, different piece. But isn't that so fun? What a fun way to dress up your mail. So that is when I wanted to show you some other examples too. So here's a directional one I did using the really cool SIPs, Celebratory SIPs Designer Series paper. Now this one is the right direction with the flap. So say you were doing like something fun when you opened it, then you may want it to be the right direction that way. And then this way, it's not. So you could flip it. So you could certainly put a label on to make it orient the way you want, or you could leave it as is. Here's one. You might recognize this card. We made this last week with the same pack of paper. And then we've got coordinating paper in there. You just flop it in there, unseal, and you're good to go. So that is pretty much what I wanted to show you tonight. I think these envelopes are a lot of fun, very easy to do. You can make a bunch of them, but again, you get one per 12 by 12 piece of paper. And then you cut it down to 9 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, now we're at the fun part of our evening where we get a draw for last week's projects. If you recall, we did a video on using scraps. So tonight we have these scraps. Well, this is a perfect example. I don't like to throw these away. So we used our scraps to make some fun cards. And we did 2 different ones. So anyone who comments on or shares my videos, your name is automatically entered in to win the projects that I make every week. So from last week's video, I've got a few different cards here, and I'm going to draw the winners. The first one is Felicia Blaine. And Felicia, this card is yours, and I will send that to you. I really do like this one a lot because we simply glued scraps down on a piece of paper and then used a die cut to cut it out. So Felicia, I will mail that one to you. And then for this one here, we will go ahead, and this one is going to go to Elaine Schwartz. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it every week. And for this week's, for the envelopes, I'll actually put a card in there. And just a reminder that I won't be live next week, so I'll draw for those before I go. And I can't promise I'll get them out in the mail before I leave. But anyway, so again, no Facebook Live next week. Thank you for joining this week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and actually the next 2 weeks. And thank you so much, and spread the kindness. Don't forget, if you want to join the challenge, to send 15 cards in July. It's not too late. There's still 15 more days of July. So you can send 1 a day and make the challenge. Again, thanks so much. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful Wednesday or Tuesday, and take care. Bye.